We're living in a pretty weird time, right? On the one hand, we're seeing these absolutely mind-blowing breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. But on the other, where's the economic boom that was supposed to come with it? What is going on here?
So let's just break this down. On the left, you've got this incredible story of progress. This chart here shows the error rate for AI image recognition just plummeting, blowing past human ability in no time. But then you look at the chart on the right, the economic story for that exact same period, and it's the total opposite. Productivity growth, the very engine of our prosperity, has slowed to a crawl. It's a complete mismatch.
And this brings us to the big question, the absolute heart of this entire mystery. It's a modern twist on a classic economic puzzle. We can see AI popping up everywhere, except in the productivity statistics. So, why?
To get to the bottom of this, we're going to treat it like a detective story, breaking it down into a few acts. So let's start with Act 1, laying out the puzzle.
Let's really dig into the evidence here. On one side, you have the promise, right? AI capabilities are just soaring. The investment is skyrocketing from millions to billions. But on the other side, you've got the reality. For the average person, productivity growth has been chopped in half, and real income has basically gone nowhere. The promise and the reality, they just don't add up.
Okay, so what gives? How do we explain this massive disconnect? It's time for Act 2, the investigation.
Economists have basically lined up four main suspects to explain this whole mystery. First up, false hopes. Is it possible the AI hype is just that, all hype and no substance? Suspect 2, mismeasurement. Are we just using old-school tools to measure a brand new digital economy? Number 3, concentrated gains. Is it possible the boom is already here, but it's only happening for a few giant tech companies, leaving the rest of us behind? Or, and this is the most fascinating one, are we just stuck in a period of implementation lags?
Now, while those first three might have something to do with it, the evidence, it points overwhelmingly to one culprit. Welcome to Act 3, the prime suspect.
So to understand our prime suspect, these implementation lags, we need to talk about something called a general-purpose technology, or GPT for short. And look, these aren't just minor improvements. GPTs are the big ones, the profound inventions like the steam engine or electricity, the kind of technologies that have the power to completely rewire society.
And history gives us the perfect playbook for this. Think about electricity. When it was first introduced, it didn't do much for productivity. In fact, it took decades. Why? Well, because you couldn't just swap a steam engine for an electric motor and call it a day. You had to completely rethink and rebuild the entire factory from the ground up. And AI? It's the exact same deal. You can't just drop it into an old system and expect magic. You need huge complementary innovations, new ways of working, new skills, new company structures, before you can feel its true impact.
This pattern is so predictable, this slow, maybe even painful start followed by an explosive takeoff, that it actually has a name, the productivity J-curve.
So here's how the J-curve works. It's got two parts. First, you've got Phase 1, investment and disruption. This is the tough part. Companies are spending tons of time and money just trying to adapt. And all that effort can make productivity go flat or, get this, it can even dip. Sound familiar? That's probably where we are right now. But then you hit Phase 2, acceleration. Once all that foundational work is done, the benefits finally show up in the data, and you get that sharp, sustained boom we've all been waiting for. Okay, so that's a pretty compelling theory, right? But is it just a theory, or is there some cold, hard data to back it up? Well, let's move on to Act 4, the corroborating evidence.
And here it is. This might just be the smoking gun we've been looking for. Brand new studies digging through data across 38 countries have finally put a number on this delay. The time between a country pouring money into AI and actually seeing that investment show up in its economic growth numbers is on average 2 to 3 years.
And it's not a guess. You can see it right there in the economic data. A recent study confirmed it, finding that the positive effects of AI investment only become significant after that 2 to 3 year lag. And after that, the impact just gets stronger over time. So this lag isn't just a cool idea anymore. It's a measurable fact.
Now, take a look at this chart. It might just look like a random mess of dots and, well, that's kind of the point. Each dot shows how one decade's productivity growth predicted the next decade's growth. And the answer is, it didn't at all. There is zero pattern. And that tells us something super important. Just because we've had slow growth doesn't mean we're stuck with it forever. The past doesn't predict the future, especially not when a game-changing technology is waiting in the wings.
All right, so if we accept that the boom is coming, then just how big are we talking?
Let's close this case with Act 5, the verdict for the future.
So, what's the potential payoff for getting through this initial slump? Well, analysts at Goldman Sachs ran the numbers, and it's staggering. They estimate that AI could add, wait for it, $8 trillion in value just to the U.S. economy. No, that is not a typo. 8 trillion with a T. Suddenly, that initial investment period seems pretty small, doesn't it?
And just to put all this in perspective, think back to the last big tech revolution, the dot-com boom. At its absolute peak, investment was maybe 2 to 5% of U.S. GDP. So where are we with AI right now? We're at less than 1%. It's just wild. For all the talk, for all the headlines, we are truly in the earliest of days.
So what's the takeaway here? When you put all the pieces together, the history, the J-curve theory, the brand new data, everything points to the same clear conclusion. We are at the very bottom of the J-curve, standing right at the edge of the inflection point just before the real climb begins.
And that really brings us to our final thought. The paradox is solved. The lag is real. So the question we should be asking ourselves is no longer if the productivity boom is coming. The real question is, what is our world going to look like when it finally gets here?